In this video we're going to be looking at Paris. And on Paris we have a couple of different strategies we use. This one right here we like to run when we're playing 4v4. Doesn't seem to work quite as well when you're playing 2v2 or 1v1. In order to do this, you need to be pretty fast at the very beginning to work with your partners. What we're going to have is a rifleman walk to Lima, an engineer walk to Whiskey, and a transport and a rifleman head to Delta. When I'm playing 1v1, I like to start off with artillery, and I like to put it right there at that rally point. Sitting behind these buildings, they've got good cover. You've got the engineers at Whiskey, and you can from there you can pop Delta and Foxtrot. If you've played this map before, then you know by using a transport, in order to get to Delta, you have to go all the way around, because as you see there's barriers right there blocking off this main entrance. So in order to get to Delta, you have to come through that entrance way right there. So what we're going to do is we're going to stop here at the barriers and let our guys out, and then from here they're going to walk to Delta. Use our binoculars and we see that they've got transports coming, so what we're going to do is we're going to send the transports on around to Delta as if they were headed straight there, and we're going to hope that it throws off the transports that's coming, and the transports that's on their way is going to think that our transport still has people in them, and hopefully they'll focus on those transports instead of the men running to Delta, which hopefully they don't see since the men have stealth on them. As you see, they did end up using the special attack on the transports instead of the men, and by the time that the men got out of the transports, our guys was able to run in and secure it before them. So now their guys are out of cover and in bad shape. Playing this about 10 times, there was only once where we ran into a situation where we were actually beat to Delta. So once again, like a lot of my strategies, this one is a gamble, and either you make it or you don't. If you're not going to make it, then I suggest that you hide out in the trees and hopefully bring one of your better riflemen up to Delta where you can snipe the guys that's there and hopefully walk in and take it. But we're going to try to hold down Delta, Whiskey, Lima, and Yankee. And I'll walk to Lima first. Now I'm walking to Yankee after I've secured Lima, and we do that because if the opposing force starts out with transports and riflemen and heads straight to Lima, then they can beat you by the time you take Yankee and then walk to Lima. So we kind of go backwards, and we start off with Lima. And right there I use this chopper to place a rally point in their spawn, so later on if we use force recon, we know where to send the force recon. I always like to send a force recon to their spawn area to keep them busy. But as I was saying, if you're at Lima first with your riflemen and then you look down that bridge and nothing's on its way, it's usually pretty safe to go ahead, take Yankee, upgrade it, and then walk back to Lima to upgrade Lima. But you want to try to put them in DEFCON as soon as possible. You have to be careful if you play this like an assault map, because it is easy to sit on each side and wear the other side down, but seeing how there's only 6 uplinks, 3 on each side, if you do wear down the other team, once they get down pretty low, it'll go into DEFCON, and they'll crash one of your bases more than likely, and you'll be losing at that point. So you want to try to keep pressure on them, move a force up here to Delta, and hold down Delta. They crashed Yankee, so I'm going to go ahead and head back over to Lima, which I was going to do anyway. You always want to remember when you're crashing a base that you want to crash the base that you don't believe you're ever going to get. So it's not necessarily always crash the base that's closest to their spawn, because a lot of times a lot of teams will leave their spawn wide open. So a lot of times that's what we'll deep strike. If we see that it's clear, is we'll deep strike the base that's right beside their spawn. And you may not always hold it for the entire timer, but you usually hold it long enough to get a good countdown on the victory clock, or it may be the thing that saved you, that brought the victory clock back up, that finished the game for you. So remember, when crashing bases, just crash the one that you know you're not going to get. Right here we've got Force Recon headed over. I believe we had one headed to Foxtrot and one heading to the rally point, seeing how he had a lot of stuff over at Foxtrot. And I saw that Bravo was wide open since he had a lot of stuff over at Foxtrot and still in his spawn, so I took a chance to keep the pressure on him, not necessarily thinking that I'm going to capture Bravo, but I'm going to deep strike Bravo just to keep him busy. Many times when you're in the lead, instead of just holding what you got, you just want to keep pressure on them to make sure that they're not able to recover and to come back on you. And what we had is usually we have one guy whose job is to run artillery, which is what Lost is doing right now, and he's just pounding Foxtrot. So in case this game does get stalled and goes longer, we're hoping to take out their airstrikes or whatever it is that they have Foxtrot upgraded to. If you see right here, my guys are at Bravo, they're down, and an accidental WMD wipes them off. It's heartbreaking when it's at the end of the game, but accidents do happen. And that is our strategy for Paris.